we have an awful lot to learn from Zaytuna, which is committed to a revival of classical, ancient, and medieval pagan and Islamic teaching and learning. I studied the works of Thomas Aquinas, who's deeply indebted to Islamic thinkers, Ghazali, Ibn Sina, Ibn Rushd, deeply indebted to their thought. And Zaytuna's committed to going back and reviving these debates as relevant to the present. That's undercutting the kind of cultural and historical amnesia. It's a recovery. I love the name of the journal as Renovatio, a renewal or a reawakening of this learning that has been renewed at various times and places, but which has been dormant too often, just as in my own tradition, the great sources of learning have been dormant too often. So this idea of a renovatio, a renewing, a reawakening of this spirit of learning seems to me to be something that Zaytuna is doing within its own tradition. But it's also committed to learning from the modern Western tradition as well. Teaching students certainly to learn Arabic at a very profound level of mastery, but also to be able to translate what they know in Arabic from the Islamic tradition into modern discourse, into Western thought, and vice versa. This ability to learn translation at a high level, the simple art of translation, but the higher verbal and cultural art of translation. If you want to renew civil discourse in a deep way, you need to attend to that. And Zaytuna is leading the way in doing that. There are very few Christian traditions, Christian institutions of higher learning that are as committed in as rigorous and a deep way as Zaytuna is to this recovery and then translation to contemporary idiom and contemporary life. And so I think Zaytuna is distinctive, not only in that it comes out of the Islamic and Muslim tradition, but also it's distinctive in the way it is engaging that tradition, deeply committed to a recovery of the sources, but for the sake of living today in conversation with a variety of interlocutors. I would say the first thing that impresses me and likely impresses anyone who walks onto the campus is the warmth and hospitality of the community. I have felt from the first moment I met Sheikh Hamza Yusuf and other members of the community, leaders and faculty members, some of whom I met before I first came to Zaytuna, just a warmth and a hospitality. And that is certainly increased and confirmed by the time I've spent on campus. That exercise of hospitality, which we have different origins or sources or sometimes even reasons for hospitality, but it's something that my own Catholic Christian tradition does when we're operating at our best. Zaytuna is a great exemplar of the spirit of hospitality. The time I've spent in my previous visit, and then especially on this visit where I had the opportunity to lead a class discussion of contemporary philosophy, contemporary ethics, I found the students not just attentive, it was clear that the issues matter to them at a deep level. The level of questioning was remarkably high. Very perceptive questions, sometimes critical, gently critical of wondering about something I'd said and if I could support it more thoroughly than I had in my opening comments, but also questions about the text that we were reading, a kind of joyful pursuit of knowledge and wisdom, right? The students here genuinely enjoy inquiry. They genuinely enjoy reading important books and talking about them, and a sense of humor, an ability to laugh at what you don't understand, to laugh at the oddness of doing philosophy. There is something odd about doing philosophy. Going all the way back to Athens, the Athenians found Socrates to be even those who who didn't really despise him. There were some people who despised him, but the Athenians found him an odd kind of character. Philosophy is a sort of odd thing. It's natural in one way because we are creatures of wonder, but then to start asking philosophical questions in the midst of human life is a bit comical. The students have a love of doing that, but also have a kind of sense of humor about it as well, that it isn't the only thing that's important in human life, but it is something that we love doing. So all of those things, the hospitality, the depth of the pursuit, the depth of wonder and the serious questioning, and then doing that in with a sense of humility and humor. You know, interestingly, those are indirectly also ways of showing hospitality to strangers who are visiting, taking seriously what they're saying, taking seriously enough to criticize, perhaps, what they're saying and to raise questions about it, but also to do it with a sense of joy and humility. So those are the things that strike me and why I'm always happy to have an opportunity to visit. I think the faculty here are deeply committed to both learning and teaching. There's often in our culture, in university culture, there's the assumption, certainly from the outside world, that if you're serious about research or learning, maybe you're not spending enough time teaching or interacting with students. And that's sometimes the case in research universities. And research is often so technical and specific that, particularly in certain STEM disciplines, it really is consuming for people who are doing it. And so teaching for some of them may be a secondary matter. I think Zaytuna, true to its religious and liberal arts mission, is about the faculty learning deeply in order to share that learning with others. I've mentioned that I've been a student of Thomas Aquinas for much of my life, and he had a phrase in Latin that described the Dominicans who were known for their preaching and their teaching. That goes like this in Latin: contemplata aliis tradere, to hand on to others things contemplated. His sense was that contemplation itself of the good, the true, and the beautiful, contemplation of God, is certainly an end, right? It's our ultimate end, a kind of union with the divine. Especially in this life, that contemplation is so rich and superabundant that it should naturally overflow to sharing with others the fruits of contemplation. And it seems to me that the faculty do that here with a great generosity of spirit. And it's no surprise that the students are joyful lovers of inquiry and wisdom, because they see that embodied in the faculty.